Hello everybody and welcome back to Momo vs MTG. Today I'll be doing another Commander Deck Tech video on AO the Dawn Sky. Some people call him Ow, some people say AO. I'm gonna say AO if you don't mind. But yeah, without further ado, this commander came out in Kamigawa Neon Dynasty, part of the legendary Spirit Dragon cycle that they did on another deck I did on my channel. It was Kuro, the Boundless Sky. And I mentioned in there, hey, I have an AO deck, might as well throw it up. So this is what I'm doing. This is probably my pet personal favorite card, Magic, and glad he's legendary commander, so built the deck around him. Yeah, without further ado, let's take a look at this bad boy. So AO Dawn Sky costs 5 mana, 2 of being plains. It's a mono white commander. You get a legendary creature, Dragon Spirit, Flying Vigilance. When Owl dies, you choose one. Look at the top 7 cards of your library, put any number of non-land permanent cards with total mana value of 4 or less from among them onto the battlefield. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order, or put 2+1/+1 counters on each permanent you control that's a creature or vehicle. So, the really interesting part that caught my eye is this first ability here. We don't really use the second ability too much in this particular deck. It's used in other decks, but for this one, for this purposes, we're trying to just dig through our library and kind of take a look at the entire deck in, some sort of way. So, yeah, let's go over the game plan and how we do this. First off, let's take a look at the ramp package because it's very important for us to get up to our commander. So Soul Ring, Arcane Signet, ramping in mono white in the non-typical fashion is generically just signets and stuff. And that's what I chosen to go with, and there's a purpose behind it as well. We have stuff like Mox Amber, Lotus Bloom, Mox Tantalite. So in the CMC behind these permanents is very important, which I'll touch on. But yeah, all these cheap ramping spells, and especially ones that give a sack outlet, like the Golden Throne I really like. Another one of my favorite cards from the Warhammer set. Because we kind of do want to be sacking our stuff, in particular our commander, to get that dice trigger. So Golden Throne is a perfect fit here. We have a decent amount of legendary creatures we can tap for mana as well, so Radical Legend seems pretty nice. Yeah, so this is the ramp package here. And before I go further, this is a more powerful deck, I would say, of mine. It's not like CDH, but it's pretty up there in terms of power level. It's like an 8 or 9. The only thing it's really lacking is like the truly fast mana and a couple more tutors, and then you're kind of at that, and also a couple more Stax pieces. So without those, you're not at the truly competitive commander gameplay, but I feel like it's getting up there in power. So let's just go with that, all right? But yeah, anyhoozle. The really neat part about these talismans with Suspend and Lotus Bloom with Suspend, you can play them early on, right? Suspend for 0, and then it comes down as a Lotus, basically a Lotus, Black Lotus, I'm sorry, which you can sacrifice it, add 3 mana, any one color. Or the neat part is with Owl, if you see this in the top 7 cards of your library, it is a non-land permanent card, and its mana value technically is 0. But it differs from lands because it says non-land. So it's a 0 CMC, mana value. It doesn't have a symbol here, but that's what it registers in terms of AO purposes. And it's basically a free card you can get off an AO trigger without, going towards that total mana value of 4 or less. So we like to see the really cheap stuff. Something I would throw in here to make it more competitive is if you have a Jeweled Lotus and stuff like that. But I went with the ramp spells that are cheaper and not, in terms, I say cheaper, but aside from Mox Amber. But the ones that can still generate a ton of value, but not the ones like, Jeweled Lotus and stuff that really, ramp up your gameplay. So it takes a bit longer to get online than a truly competitive deck. However, it's still pretty powerful in what it does. So there's a ramp package, and I'll touch on one of these funny enchantments, which I really like, is Endless Horizon is a neat fit here for 4, right? Doesn't really ramp you, but it comes into play. Search your library for any number of planes card, remove them from the game, and then shuffle your library. Beginning your upkeep, you may put a card you own removed from the game with Endless Horizon into your hand. So there's a way to get around guaranteeing a land drop. You know, if we get this out pretty early, it can be a target for removal if you put too many lands under there, right? It's, you know, particular planes, so that's funny. But yeah, it thins your deck out, right? Like if you have, let's go with the number 20 planes and you grab 16 of them, sure, why not? Because you already have 4 mana, so you have most of the mana that you're going to need, but guaranteeing a land drop anyways, and thinning the deck out for AO's Dawn trigger, so now you're not missing. You're almost guaranteed not to miss off this once this is out. So I think it's a fun tech card throw in there. And then we have other ramp stuff here like Wayfarer Bauble, Weather Wayfarer grabs any land, Deep Node Terramancer, People Ramp, You Ramp, and Semi-Dia with Archaeomancer map. Grab some planes if you're behind, and they play a land, you get to drop one. So these catch-up mechanics in white are very nice. And there are some particular lands we want. That's why Weather Wayfarer isn't here. Namely Lotus Field if we have a certain combo online we want to grab, or let's just go by types. Lands, Haven of the Spirit Dragon. The sub-theme of the deck is heavily into reanimation in white, which they're, you know, besides black, I would argue white might be the best color, if not better. It depends on what you're trying to do, but white does reanimation very well. Or we can grab a high market for a sack outlet with that Weather Wayfarer. So all these, Mirror Skyrim is free reanimation. Like, there's a lot of good stuff we can grab. And a funny, you know, War Room, of course, you're going to pay 1 life, 3 mana, draw a card. So all these stuff you could grab. And Mirror Pool is another tech card I like, because it can become sacrifice, create a token that's a copy of target creature you control. So it becomes an AO, the Dawn Sky. And we'll be talking about this a decent bit, but the legend rule has one of the AOs sacrifice themselves, and then you get the trigger that way. So anyway, we can, you know, load up on AO Dawn Sky triggers and double it up and get tons of value that way. And speaking of doubling it up, we run a Shronic Resonator and Lithoform Engine. These two copy triggered ability you control, and AO Dawn Sky is a triggered ability, so we can double up. Look at the top 7. Get what we want, then do it again, look at the top 7, get what we want. Very cool. So the deck flows really, really nice, and then the rest of it is basically reanimation spells, you know, your typical removal stuff, and some Stax pieces, and some other kind of recursion, right? So we don't really necessarily need card draw, but Mishra's Bauble and Urza's Bauble, right, are free basically for 0 mana. We draw it early, it's fine. If we rip it off AO, great as well. War Room I touched on. Esper Sentinel is just, you know, good card. A little expensive, but a good card, right? Draws you cards, get it with AO. And if you take a notice, most of our stuff is permanent cards, right? Because we're leaning heavily into that AO trigger. We have 3 instances and a sorcery. And the rest of the deck, I really wanted to focus on guaranteeing hits off AO Dawn Sky. That being said, Archives of Ogma, people search your library, you draw cards. So all nice stuff here. Then we have a couple board wipes and a couple funny ones in particular. Planar Collapse. During your upkeep, if there are 4 more creatures in play, sacrifice Planar Collapse and destroy all creatures. So this can either be a deterrent from people loading up on the board, or you play it during your turn, you know you're going to get a board wipe once it comes back around to your turn. If there's, you know, if everyone has 1 creature out, and in particular if you have your commander out, it's a guaranteed sack outlet. So this is all upside for you. Out of Time, reprinted Doctor Who, but it's a nice removal, because it basically keeps, you know, the creatures out of the game for good, right? Enters battlefield, untap all creatures, and those creatures phase out until Out of Time leaves the battlefield. Put a time counter for each creature phases away. So if you have like a ton of tokens, right? Someone has like 20 tokens, they're not coming back this game. Wrath of God is your typical nice board wipe. So those are the board wipes there. Yeah, let's go down the list here. A couple things that can, you know, trip up the deck is some graveyard hate. So Leyline of Sanctity I put in here because we can either, put it down the first turn, or we can pull it off AO for extra protection because usually like a Bazooka Bog, apologies. Usually that says target opponent exiles their graveyard, and if you have hexproof, they can't target you. So, neat little tech there. And for your typical creatures, we have your enchantment tutor. I think Moonblessed Cleric is very important in the deck because it goes along with one of our win cons, which I'll touch on. Oswald Fiddlebender, the same thing. Tutors for an artifact, and we have a lot of artifacts to sacrifice. The birthing pot of artifacts, so he's very good. He gets a win con, and then these creatures here are all part of the win con. Funny enough, 0 drops, all the good stuff. And speaking of win cons, let's just jump right into that so we see what the deck is trying to do here. So with Moonblessed Cleric, the particular enchantment we're trying to grab is Enduring Renewal. And I mentioned this card once before, but I really like this card. So play with your hand revealed for 4 mana. If you draw a card, reveal top card of your library instead. If it's a creature card, put it straight into your graveyard. Otherwise, draw a card. Whenever a creature is put into your graveyard from play, return it to your hand. So you might be able to see where this is going, where we could either sack our AO Dawn Sky, right? And cheat around the commander tax, have it go straight back to her hand and cast it for 5 again, or with these 0 drops, we can sacrifice them repeatedly, and with that, drain our opponents. And funny enough, draining or dealing damage is the win con of the deck, where we have a blasting station where it's a sack outlet, but also whenever a creature comes to play, you may untap blasting station. So we repeatedly deal 1 damage to target player, opponent, creature player, and then when this dies, it'll go back to our hand during renewal, and we get to do it all again. Yeah, and then with Oswald, we can grab a lot of nice artifacts, especially the 0/1s, turning them into the 1 mana artifacts. Even these Midnights and stuff can be sacrificed to Oswald. But what we're really looking to grab is the Relic of Vial, which is kind of the same thing. As long as we have a cleric, whenever a creature you control dies, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. So those are the 2 main win cons in a deck. There are others. But a kind of line to get there is with AO the Dawn Sky, and let's touch on let's go down this line here where we have Enduring Renewal and Ashnod's Altar, right? Yeah, so Ashnod's Altar and Enduring Renewal is the same deal with those, cheap artifact creatures. If we sacrifice them to Ashnod's Altar, we can produce infinite colorless mana, all that good stuff. Yeah, and then there are a couple other lines that we have in here are we can have AO Dawn Sky, right, as your commander, and we sacrifice it to Ashnod's Altar, where we add 2 colorless to our mana pool. We can help pay for a particular item here, which is nim-death mantle, which is another pseudo combo in the deck with AO Dawn Sky, right? Because we have this out and we sack AO. Whenever a non-token creature is put in your graveyard from the battlefield, you may pay 4. If you do, return that card to the battlefield and attach nim-death mantle to it. So we have AO the Dawn Sky and some other sack fodder out, namely for either infinite mana or even just for a sack fodder. So it doesn't truly get there until it gets there, kind of deal, right? So we have AO Dawn Sky out and like an Esper Sentinel and nim-death mantle. We get 1 free rotation of sacking the 2 creatures to Ashnod's Altar, and then reanimating Aeod Dawn Sky, guaranteed, while getting its death trigger. And once its death trigger happens, we can usually churn through enough cards to either get more creatures to sack or other recursion spells on top of it. So it's a very powerful line of the deck, and this is what I'm mainly talking about in terms of how strong it can be, right? Um, so that is the main, win con line, and then the rest of the stuff kind of helps us get there. We have some stack pieces which work very well. Meek Stone, any creature with power 2 or greater may not be untapped as normal. So 2 or greater power, do not untap. Good thing our legendary creature has vigilance, because another game winning line is just smack people with Aeod Dawn Sky. It's a flying beater as well. Other stack pieces, we have Blind Obedience, slow down the game, has the Extort to keep us alive, but stuff comes in tap, which is very powerful, slow down the game. Grand Abolisher is really good, stops other people from messing up our game plan, right? We're trying to go off. Strict Proctor is one of my personal favorite cards. I'm really coming around to this, where any permanent enters the battlefield calls a trigger ability to trigger, counter that ability unless its controller pays 2. So it's a good stacks piece, and again, it works extremely well with like a Lotus Field, right? Because it's just free ramp. Because this is a trigger ability to sacrifice lands, but instead you don't pay the mana and it's countered. But you still get the Lotus Field, right? Very cool. And it goes Sleep Prison, right? Why not? Don't want stuff hitting you. Yeah, and then the rest of the deck, we're going to be taking a look at mainly recursion stuff and then some removal. So let's talk about, there's 13 true pieces of recursion and maybe more, which I didn't sort through here. Mirror the Sky Rune's a land, Haven's a land. These bring back either your dragon to your hand or straight to the battlefield. Campfire it's a nice gain incremental life, but also it's nice because allows you to put your commander back into your hand, or if it's in command zone, cheat some commander attacks later on. So I like the utility there. Gerard's Hourglass Pendant for 4 mana. You get to return all the stuff, including the stuff you sacrifice, right? Not just your AO, but you can sacrifice everything, basically, and bring back them to the board for another trigger. Angelic Renewal is a nice cheap one, because you may sacrifice it when a creature is put from the graveyard to the battlefield. Into the graveyard from your battlefield, sorry. And then returns a creature. Brought back 2 mana and grabbed 2 permanents that were put there this turn. Nim-death mantle we went over. Gift of Mortality is every turn, right? The next end steps. And the cool thing about this deck is you can wait until someone has an answer for you. Or like, there's a clear opening, right? You don't have to go off the same turn you play all this stuff. You can play Aeod Dawn Sky, pass the turn all the way around till the last person's end step that comes right before you, and then start sacking him and going off that way. So it works really well at instant speed. Loyal Retainers is a nice one. Return target legendary creature card from your graveyard to battlefield. Activate only during your turn before attackers are declared. So very particular niche card, but again gives us another AO sack trigger during renewal went over. Biggest reward, just straight up all permanents that were put there, bring them back to the battlefield. We sack everything. Miss Moon Griffin's a sick fit. I really like it because it was put into a graveyard from play, remove it from the game, then put the top creature card from your graveyard to play. So this is one of the cards that matters the order of your graveyard, right? Of your deck, because if you sack the wrong thing in the wrong order, then you don't get the Dawn Sky back. You get something different. So just something to keep in mind when running this card. Sigil of the New Dawn is kind of nice. It's a nice repeatable recursion, right? But it goes back to your hand, but cheats commander attacks, right? That's the important part. So those are the main recursion spells in the deck. And then you have some artifact recursion, which is almost just as important, right? When Lorien, Disciple of History, or another legendary creature enters the battlefield under your control, return target artifact card from your graveyard to your hand. And we can get a decent amount of triggers to this off itself and when Aeod Dawn Sky, right, enters. So pretty good there. because we do sack a lot of artifacts for stuff. Halls of Generosity, nice tech card here because we have important enchantments we want to keep around, and then can put them right back on top when they do destroy them. And Restoration Specialist is really, really good in this deck because you could sacrifice it and get an artifact and enchantment card from your graveyard to your hand. So I really like these fits. It helps protect our win cons if they remove them, etc., etc. And then we have stuff like Act of Authority. So now we can exile in pesky artifact or enchantment. Beginning your upkeep, you may exile. Yeah, so this kind of can go around the table exiling stuff. So repeatable exile effects is very strong. Aura of Silence is, a very powerful card because it turns off a lot of soul rings, enchantment spells, can make them cost 2 more, and then we could sacrifice it later on to destroy one of the pesky stuff they get down. And then, of course, it's important to have some creature removal in case they have a Dothru Voidwalker or some sort of graveyard hate card. So Darksteel Mutation's nice and does that. Soul Snare, Prophecy Nodes, and Path to Exile. Some of these are conditional. Prophecy Nodes is a really nice one I'll point out because at the beginning your upkeep destroys a creature with the least power. Can't be regenerated. If 2 or more creatures are tied, you get to choose. When there are more creatures in the battlefield, this gets sacrificed. So, it's a potential sack outlet for your own AO Dawn Sky if it's the only creature in the battlefield. Let's go with that, right? Or you get rid of a lot of pesky mana dorks or pesky little creatures. And this can hit you as well, so that's important to note. And then the last part of the line here, right, is the sack outlets. So we want to run as many as possible. So even the lands, high market, the Spoil Acceptor gets to sack something a turn. It's it's that important in the deck. Playtest Selves, very, very good card in the deck if you pull it off. For 6 mana total, you get 2 AO Dawn Sky trigger death triggers with the legend rule because of Myriad if you have 3 opponents in total. And also you get to keep your original around, so that's a lot of value. I love the Mirror of the Forebears and the other one, Mirage Mirror, which was touch on. But this one's a little more specific, that's why it's cheaper. But you can have it, choose Dragon Spirit type, Dragon, have become a copy of AO, and then it dies, you get the trigger that way. Astronaut's Altar went over, Blasting Station, Mirage Mirror is the same deal, just a little more expensive and copy anything, basically. Phyrexian Altar, again, a mana sack outlet. And an interesting card here is Rashida Scalebane for 5. Bury attacking or blocking dragon, gain an amount of life equal to that dragon's power. So, yeah, very, very niche card. Unfortunately, you cannot hit this off your Aedo Dawn Sky Death Trigger, but it's a neat fit anyways. And yeah, that really is a deck. It's super fun to play. There's different lines every time, and you never know what you're gonna hit, which is the really fun part. It's kind of like Cascade in that aspect, but you get to choose a little bit more. So yeah, really, really neat deck. I have a lot of fun with it, and I hope that you guys enjoyed the watch of it. I think I got a little bit of time left, still a little long, so let me go through like a test play hand of it. If you're sticking around for that, thank you. If not, thanks for watching. Thank you for hanging out with Momo versus MTG. But either way, if you want to see how this operates, let's take a look, right? So in a playtest hand, let's get this rolling. What are we rocking here? What are we rocking? Let me edit. Let me help this a little bit. Something like that looks okay. So this is our opening hand. Plains, something. Looks a little slow. Nothing too exciting, so let's ship this one back. Mulligans are pretty easy with this deck. So we have a Ley Line, which is something to consider. Grand Abolisher, Gift of Mortality. Nothing super good here, so we can even ship this back again. Now what do we got? nim-death, mantle, land. Ship back again. This deck can operate at pretty low stuff here. Alright, let's keep this one, right? So we're going to ship 2 cards here, because the first one's free. We'll keep the Mox Tantalite. We'll keep the land. Ship Oswald, and we'll ship Endless Horizons is fun. Yeah, screw it. We'll ship the Loyal Retainer. Or ship the Strict Proctor. Cool, and we'll keep this. Alright. And we'll draw for turn. Comes in tapped. Suspend this with a couple counters. Has suspend for 3. Cool. Untap. Upkeep. Counter down. Cool. We have a play. Archer's Agma. Wait till someone's end step. On their end step, flashes bad boy in. Cool. Maybe we draw a card. Maybe we don't. Let's roll with we don't. Untap. Suspend counter down to 1. Draw a card. Halls of Generosity. Sure, why not? We'll throw down our Loyal Retainer. Not bad. And then go to our next turn. Assuming no value off Archivist, we'll go with that. Mox Tantalite will come down. We'll draw a card. And then we have options. We could play a land and slam a commander, but I think the smarter play would be to slam Endless Horizon here, and go search for a ton of planes. I wouldn't mind even grabbing all of them out of the deck at this point. So we'll grab all the plane cards, put them in, oh, keep one in there, put them into exile, which is neat, cool, and then we'll untap. And now the decision is, do we draw a guaranteed planes or something else? Let's draw a random card. Oh, cool. During renewal. Interesting one. So we're only missing a couple pieces now. So let's slam down our AO Dawn Sky and go from there. We'll untap. And let's draw, because now we're missing a sack outlet. Let's just draw from the library. Archaeomancer's map is interesting. We don't really have any more planes card to grab. Yeah, let's throw down our Enduring Renewal. So now we're really set up. The one tap. And let me read the orbital text on this card. I just want to double check. Yeah, because the key part here, it's not a replacement effect. It is a triggered ability. Right, because it still has to hit the graveyard. Cool. That's the important part. Is these do hit the graveyard of sorts. So let's carry on. So I guess I'll play out the Archaeomancer map. Let's search for that last plains card and play it for turn. And I think there's no other cards that has the plains tag. No. It's a land. Cool. So we got all the planes out of the deck. Cool. And then we'll untap and go to our next draw. Planar Collapse. Cool. There we go. There's a sack out. Love it. So we'll play out Planar Collapse. Cool. Because now, if we get to our next turn, cool. By this point in the game, there should definitely be 4 more creatures. So we're, this entire time, right? We're swinging with AO, all the good stuff, pissing people off. Cool. Move to untap, upkeep, Planar Collapse trigger, get sacrificed, and then destroy all the creatures. Because there's no way to sacrifice in response with Loyal Retainer to get it again and do it again. So there's no way to do that. So all of them get destroyed. They actually go back to her hand. After they hit the graveyard, they come back. And now we have an AO trigger. So let's take a peek at the top 7 cards. Cool. The fun part. So now we can put some of these on the battlefield. So this goes straight onto the... So this goes on the battlefield because it's free, Lotus Bloom. Then we could put down... Relic of Legends gives us the most mana, but we need a sack outlet. So let's actually grab the Relic Vial, because it's kind of our win con as well, and the sack outlet. So this comes on the battlefield straight away, no suspend counters. Relic Vial comes down, and now we're still in our upkeep, untap upkeep, and now we draw. Cool. So let's see if we can do all this. So we want to cast our commander again, of course. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's AO. And then we really do want the Loyal Retainer at the same time. So I might as well go for that. Let's drop the Loyal Retainer. And also draw for turn. I don't think I drew for turn. So let's draw from the plains because that gives us enough mana to now do the sack outlet. So now 2 mana here. Cool. This is sacrificed this turn. So I'll put it here. Kind of important. To tap Relic Vial, sacrifice AO, put in the graveyard, and with the trigger on the stack, sacrifice Loyal Retainer, right? Put this in the graveyard, have AO come back. Now let AO the Dawn Sky's trigger resolve. So let's peek at the top. I forgot to shuffle them away. She's supposed to go to the bottom because that's how AO the Dawn Sky works, and forgot to do the thing. So these 3 cards were new. Let's go with these 3 cards. Yeah, cool. Let's do it now. Peek at top 7. This is what we would have seen. Ooh, Gift of Mortality is kind of nice. Let's throw Gift of Mortality out, and then that's good enough for me. Enters the battlefield. We'll attach it to here. Go around, next turn, untap, draw from here. Keep doing it again. These should go to the bottom of the library. And then draw from here. Yeah, this one also should go to the bottom of the library. And let's peek at the top 7 again. Let's draw for turn. Bam. Cool. Nice. Now we have a Strionic Resonator. Things are getting pretty serious now. So we can sacrifice for 2. And then for 2, also copy it. So it's going to die. We're going to look at the top 7 and the top 7. So let's look at the top 7. We're going to get, we could get some removal, other stuff. We could get the Griffin here. I think the Griffin's going to be the best card. The rest put to the bottom. And then let's do it again. Memnite is free. Let's grab that. And Soul Ring. And whatever you want here. Active Authority is kind of cool. So we drop that. Removes problematic threats on the board. I said Memnite, Soul Ring, and the Griffin. Cool. So this is all good now. So with the sack outlet and a drain, we'd have the game here because we have our cleric in hand. Well, let's go to the next turn. We could even drop. Let's say we didn't tap that for colorless. We could drop a Moonblessed Cleric and put some enchantment on top. If we have any left, yeah, or Silence, what the heck. Angelic Renewal is nicer, so let's put this on top. Then we'll untap, and we'll draw the card we know. Again, 2 for Angelic Renewal. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Play AO again. We will sacrifice AO. 2 triggers. We'll sacrifice Angelic Renewal. So AO comes back. This is in the graveyard. These are in the graveyard. Sack. And can we copy it? I don't think so. So let's just do the top 7. Grab a relic. Prophecy nodes. Those go on the battlefield. Pretty cool, pretty cool. And top 5. I keep doing this wrong. And now let's look at the top 7. We're really aren't hitting what we need, which is the funny part. Usually by now we'd hit something. Let's just drop this thing, right? Can we drop this? Grab an artifact, recast it with suspend. Dawn Sky is back. Yeah, let's untap, move to our next turn. Yeah, these should be in the bottom by now. Let's do it again, sack. Sack all these like this. Cool, cool, cool. Arrow trigger twice. Let's put it back to hand so we can cast them again and go top 7. That's free. These are all basically free. Get them out of the deck. Cool, cool. These come online. We have legendary stuff. And do top 7 since we doubled it. And sheesh. Where's our sack outlets? Dark Steel Imitation Sum, Bobble. Ghostly Prison, this. Put the Dark Steel Mutation back. Look at the top 3. Put them in the bottom of the library. Now we got all this stuff here. Yeah, okay. And replay AO. Like, we have all this crap here. Like, it's going to be tough for opponents to do stuff. We have a Lorien trigger to grab an artifact back. No artifact. Yeah. Just waiting on one key piece, because now we have a ton of mana. I knew that one was going to the bottom. Cool. Sack, do it again, right? Boom, boom, boom. But now we're draining people because we have a cleric out. Normally you wouldn't have this many permanents, but still. And nim-death, mantle, a sack outlet, ornithopter, bobble, restoration. Like, we grab all this stuff except for one of these. With this, but at this point we should be there because all this stuff comes down, and we should. These go to the bottom. We get another AO trigger. How much stuff do we need? I probably have the win here somewhere. It's just tough to figure out. Ashnod's Altar. Boom. Cool. That's a win. Ashnod's comes down. Add 2 colors mana, infinite colors mana with midnight, and then infinite recursion here, infinite sack, and that should be the game. That was actually probably one of the worst lines of drawing that the deck could possibly hit. Funny enough, however, we still get there either way. So yeah, this has been Dawn Sky, a little test run. If you're here for this long, thanks for hanging out. I'll see you on the next one. Take care.